I'm watching something that I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. As I speak to you right now, there are unconfirmed reports that a New York City sheriff is standing at the revolving doors of Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue, holding what appears to be a sealed court order. The images coming through my sources are surreal. Secret Service agents in dark suits, their hands hovering near their weapons, facing off against local law enforcement officers who are just trying to do their job. What I'm seeing unfold here isn't just a legal dispute. This feels like the moment when the American constitutional system either proves it works or completely breaks apart. And I have to tell you, from what I'm gathering from my contacts inside the building, nobody seems to know exactly what happens next. Let me walk you through how we got to this impossible moment. According to the documents I've been able to review, this all traces back to that massive civil fraud judgment that's been hanging over Trump's head. The one that New York Attorney General Letitia James secured against the Trump Organization. For months, I've been tracking how Trump's legal team managed to keep the enforcement at bay through appeals and bonding arrangements. But something changed in the past 48 hours. The financial markets went into chaos. From what I'm hearing through my sources in the banking sector, the bonding company that was securing Trump's appeal couldn't maintain their guarantee. When the global liquidity crisis hit, they had to pull out. And when you can't post bond for a judgment this size, the court can order immediate asset seizure. That's apparently what happened. A New York State Supreme Court justice, whose name is being kept sealed for security reasons, signed what my legal contacts are calling an immediate execution order. Not the kind of execution you might think of, but the legal kind, where they can start taking control of assets to satisfy the debt. The sheriff walking up to Trump Tower this morning isn't there to arrest anyone. He's there to inventory property, to potentially place seizure notices on assets, to begin the process of turning Trump's most iconic building into collateral for the state of New York. But here's where this becomes a constitutional nightmare that I don't think anyone fully anticipated. Trump Tower isn't just a commercial building. It's where the former president lives. It's protected by the Secret Service as a secure location for a former commander-in-chief. When a local sheriff with a court order meets federal agents with national security responsibilities, you get the kind of standoff that our founding fathers never wrote rules for. I can see it playing out in my mind based on what my sources are describing. The sheriff approaches the entrance. The Secret Service agent steps forward and says something like, "Sir, this is a secured federal protection zone. I need you to stop where you are." The sheriff holds up his court order and responds, "I have a legal warrant signed by a judge commanding me to inventory these premises." And then what? Who has authority? Does state law override federal security protocol? Does the Secret Service have the right to physically block a court-ordered seizure? I've been on the phone with constitutional lawyers all morning, and honestly, none of them have a clear answer, because this scenario was never contemplated. What I'm hearing from inside the building is absolute chaos. Sources who spoke to me on condition of anonymity described Trump as being in a state of rage that they've never seen before. He's apparently been on the phone since dawn, calling everyone from his current legal team to Republican governors, demanding that someone, anyone, step in and stop this. The psychological impact of this moment can't be understated. Trump Tower is more than just a building to him. It's his identity. It's his brand. It's literally his name in gold letters facing Fifth Avenue. From what people close to him have told me over the years, losing Trump Tower would be like losing a part of his soul. But the broader implications of what I'm witnessing go far beyond one man's personal crisis. If local law enforcement can successfully execute a seizure order on a former president's primary residence, it sets a precedent that changes American politics forever. It says that no matter how high you've risen, the law can still reach you. That wealth and power aren't permanent shields against accountability. On the other hand, if the Secret Service successfully blocks this seizure, if federal authority overrides state court orders, then we're essentially saying that former presidents exist in a different legal universe than ordinary citizens. That their security needs can trump judicial rulings indefinitely. I keep thinking about the visual imagery of this moment. The most photographed building in New York, maybe in America, surrounded by law enforcement vehicles from different jurisdictions who might be there to arrest each other. News helicopters circling overhead, broadcasting live footage of what could be either a routine legal procedure or the beginning of a constitutional crisis. The markets are already reacting to rumors of what's happening. I'm watching the Dow drop in real time as traders try to process the implications of a potential standoff between state and federal authorities. The uncertainty is killing investor confidence. Nobody knows if this gets resolved peacefully in the next hour, or if we're looking at weeks of legal warfare that could destabilize everything. What really frightens me about this situation is how unprepared our system seems to be for it. I've been reading through legal precedents all morning, trying to find anything similar, and there's just nothing. The closest analog might be when federal marshals had to escort students into schools during desegregation, but even that was federal authority enforcing federal law. This is different. This is state authority trying to enforce state law against federal security protocols. The politics of this moment are equally complex. If Trump's Republican allies rally to his defense, they're essentially arguing that former presidents should be above state law. But if they stay silent, they risk being seen as abandoning him when he needs them most. Either choice creates political problems that could reshape the party. For Democrats, this is both vindication and danger. Vindication because it proves their argument that Trump isn't above the law. Danger because if this escalates into actual violence, they could be blamed for pushing the legal system past its breaking point. I keep checking my phone for updates from my sources inside the building. The latest I'm hearing is that lawyers are frantically working on emergency filings to try to get a federal court to intervene. They're apparently arguing that any seizure action should be stayed pending a review of the jurisdictional issues. But courts move slowly, and situations like this move fast. Every minute that the sheriff stands outside while the Secret Service stands inside is another minute closer to something unprecedented happening. Either the sheriff backs down, which could be seen as the law backing down to power, or the Secret Service steps aside, which creates security vulnerabilities that nobody wants to contemplate. The human element of this story is what really gets to me. There are probably dozens of people working in Trump Tower right now who have no idea if they'll be able to get to their offices tomorrow. There are residents in the building who don't know if their home is about to become a crime scene. There are Secret Service agents who train to protect against foreign threats, not to potentially confront local law enforcement. And somewhere in that building, there's a former president of the United States watching law enforcement officers approach his front door with the power to take everything he's built. Whatever you think of Trump politically, the human drama of that moment is staggering. As I continue monitoring this developing situation, I'm struck by how quickly we've moved from theoretical legal arguments to actual law enforcement standoffs. All the debates about presidential immunity and executive privilege that seemed so abstract just hours ago are now playing out in real time with real consequences. This moment feels like a stress test of American democracy itself. Can our system handle a situation where following the law might require confronting the security apparatus of the federal government? Can we maintain both the rule of law and the peaceful transfer of power if those principles come into direct conflict? I honestly don't know how this ends, but I know that however it resolves, American politics will be different afterward. The precedent set today, whether it's that no one is above the law or that some people are protected by federal authority regardless of state court orders, will echo through every future controversy involving high-level officials. The sheriff is still at the door. The Secret Service is still inside. America is watching. And for the first time in my career covering politics, I genuinely have no idea what happens next. What I'm hearing now from my sources is that backup units from both sides are quietly positioning themselves nearby. NYPD patrol cars are reportedly stationed at strategic intersections around the tower, while additional Secret Service personnel have apparently been moved into the building. The tension is escalating by the hour, and I can feel this situation approaching some kind of breaking point. The legal teams are working frantically behind the scenes. I'm told emergency conference calls are happening with judges, with Justice Department officials, with White House counsel. Everyone is trying to find a face-saving exit ramp before this turns into something that damages everyone involved. But time is working against a peaceful resolution. Every hour that passes with law enforcement officers from different jurisdictions staring at each other across a doorway makes compromise harder. Pride gets involved. Institutional authority gets questioned. What started as a legal procedure becomes a test of will between different levels of government. The media circus is intensifying too. I can see news vans lining up outside the building through my contacts' photos. International reporters are flying in to cover what they're calling a potential constitutional crisis in real time. The whole world is watching America try to figure out whether its own legal system can function when it conflicts with its security apparatus. This isn't how anyone thought the rule of law would be tested in America. In textbooks, justice is supposed to be clean and procedural. In reality, it's messy and personal and political. Today, it might require someone with a badge to make a decision that could define American democracy for generations.